Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the SoCal Sports Dudes podcast. Jason Wen here. Today I wanted to come at you guys with an NFL video. We have some number of coaching changes going down. We got some playoff matchups to go through, so I wanted to come out with you guys, come out with a new video for you guys here, some fresh content. So thank you for tuning in. If you'd be so kind, please press like and subscribe to the channel, and then also provide some comments in the comment section below so we can get you the content that you like. So let's get right to it, man. The news broke a little while ago. Bill Belichick is going to be stepping down as the Patriots head coach after 24 years, man. 7 championships, just nuts. Is it 6, 7? Anyway, but it's just crazy that he's finally going to be stepping down. Looks like there's been a mutual parting of the ways between him and the owner, Robert Kraft. We kind of heard whispers that it might finally be that time, but now they've announced it earlier today. Belichick will be stepping down. He's going to have a press conference here in a little while. And yesterday, man, Pete Carroll was asked, I guess, to step down as the Seahawks head coach. I don't know if that was, he was kind of forced into that or whatever, but he's had a couple of decent years, the last couple of years with a team that was all right. I mean, they were kind of going up against the Niners there in that West. But yeah, Carroll, man, he's out at Seattle, so that's 2 long-time head coaches in their spots there, and you know, it's going to be interesting to see who's next after such a long run with those. It's almost like hard to see anybody else being the head coach of those 2 teams there. You got Mike Vrabel, of course, now was asked to step aside, or I don't know if he was fired, but Tennessee's moving on from him. I don't know if there was some sort of power play there, if he was trying to get more control or ask for more input on building up the roster. Of course, they got the new GM who came from the San Fran tree there with Carthon, who, I would think just hired the guy. You're not going to tell him, okay, now let me step aside while Vrabel runs the show over here. I don't know. Maybe it's just time, and maybe Vrabel's obviously he's going to be in demand here for some of these other openings. Arthur Smith was let go in Atlanta. That wasn't that much of a surprise. He was a real good offensive coordinator, of course, a couple years ago with Tennessee, but head coach just, I don't know, never got their quarterback down there. They had a lot of weapons, it seemed like. Ron Rivera out in Washington. That one, again, we can kind of see that one coming. And, of course, the 3 other openings that were available earlier in the year. Frank Reich in Carolina was let go, Brandon Staley with the Chargers, and Josh McDaniels with the Raiders, who was replaced by Antonio Pierce, who did a really good job there as the interim coach. We'll see if they hold on to him as the permanent head coach. He did a really commendable job there, got them competing again, and I mean, it's almost like you can't go wrong there with letting Pierce just take it over and become the full-time head coach there. They did this, of course, a couple years ago when they let go of I'm drawing a blank here, but they let go of Gruden. They had to move on from Gruden, and they brought Bisaccia in. He did a good job, man, and players love Bisaccia, and they said, you know what, we're not going to hire Bisaccia. We'll bring in McDaniels. You're kind of going, all right, let's do this. I guess that's the move they wanted to make, and McDaniels didn't fly, so now Pierce comes in, does a good job. Players love him. They want to keep him there. At least their key players do. So we'll see, though, man. I think, number of these, this is 3, 6, 8 jobs out there. And you got to wonder if Mike Tomlin maybe is, there's been whispers of maybe him stepping aside after the playoffs end here for the Steelers. They have a game, of course, in the Wildcard round tomorrow, which I'll touch on in a bit. And also you wonder, like, Jerry Jones kind of getting up there a little bit. You wonder if he's going to have pressure of wanting to, win one before his time or while he can. So if McCarthy doesn't win it this year, do they make a change there? I mean, that's going to be kind of an interesting thing to keep an eye on. But anyway, top candidates for the jobs. Of course, we got Dan Quinn, Dallas defensive coordinator, former head coach of the Falcons, and it seemed like almost a natural fit for him to just go back to Seattle, where he was the defensive coordinator. You got Jim Harbaugh, fresh off a national championship. Congrats to Michigan, by the way. Good job there. They crushed Washington there in the college finale. Yeah, but Harbaugh, man, he's obviously solid head coach with both Stanford and Michigan in college, and then just had a great run there with the Niners for about 4 years, and they went to the Super Bowl, won the NFC. And yeah, man, he just seems like he'd be, whoever any of these coaching vacancies. You plug Harbaugh in there, and he'd probably be able to turn it into an instant winner. I kind of would like to see him go to the Raiders, man. I think that'd be kind of fun. He's a former Raider assistant from back in the day. Of course, I'm torn because I think Pierce has done such a good job. It's almost like you don't want to just, not give that guy a chance. And I think he'd be a great head coach full time. Another part of it, though, I'd like to see him play a little keep away from the Chargers there, because if Harbaugh goes to Chargers, I think that they're going to make a quick ascension there in the AFC West. And Justin Herbert is the quarterback that I'm sure a lot of coaches would like to work with. So, yeah, Harbaugh, I think, going to be kind of at the top of a lot of people's list. You got Ben Johnson, Detroit offensive coordinator, Mike McDonald, Baltimore defensive coordinator, are going to be on people's short list. Eric Bieniemy, of course, we're getting more familiar with, former Kansas City O coordinator, now with Washington as an OC and an assistant head coach. Bobby Slowick from Houston, offensive coordinator, did a really good job there with Stroud this year, bringing him along. So he's, I think, jumped up the list a little bit there. Frank Smith, Miami's offensive coordinator. Of course, they have a dynamic offense that it's hard to defend. Ejiro Evero, Carolina's defensive coordinator, is a guy who was on the list last couple years, has been on the short list. I think he's eventually going to become a head coach, and I'm sure we'll get some interviews here. You got Dave Canales from Tampa Bay. He's their offensive coordinator. Other names, you got Brian Flores, ex-Miami Dolphins head coach, now the Minnesota defensive coordinator, intense guy who I think did a good job with Miami. Shane Waldron, who's Seattle's assistant, did a good job there with that team. Lou Anarumo, the coordinator from the Cincinnati defense. And you got Aaron Glenn, Detroit's defensive coordinator there. I think any of these guys, I think, would be in line for some of these jobs. So, and then, of course, the names that just got removed, you would think Vrabel's going to get another job. Belichick's probably going to relocate to one of these. Some of these other guys might be, I don't know, Pete Carroll takes another job, but some of these other guys are probably going to have to go back to like more assistant or offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator type roles. But yeah, man, going to be fun. I think a couple of these guys finally get their shot, and then we'll have a couple of these other names recircle to some of these lists. And, some of these vacancies, you got some owners that have a lot of money that I'm sure going to throw at some of these coaches. You got the new ownership group there in Washington. They're loaded. Carolina's got a lot of money. Kraft, and none of these guys are kind of struggling for money, so I'm sure it's just the premium coaches are going to cost quite a bit nowadays. You see these going rates now, they're getting 10s and 15 million and stuff for coaches, plus power to build the roster out and things like that. So yeah, man, it's gonna be fun. And I wanted to also touch real quick, this weekend, Wildcard Weekend's coming up, man. So football playoffs are here. It's kind of been a fun, exciting season. It ended it was kind of a crazy finish there, how the playoff scenarios, Buffalo beating Miami got them the 2 seed and gave them a home game versus, Miami not being able to pull that out. Now they have to hit the road and go play in the cold. So yeah, man, let's get to that. Saturday, Cleveland at Houston. So Houston held on, won the AFC South. Quite a turnaround there for them, man, with Stroud and the new coach, D'Amico Ryans. Cleveland is 2-point favorites there in Houston. But, Joe Flacco, man, what can you say about him? He's really come out of what he was laying on the couch or just kind of chilling, watching TV at home, and turns around, takes over, the quarterback duties there in Cleveland after all these injuries with Watson and DTR and them, and leads the Browns to playoffs. He's a guy who's won a Super Bowl before. You got to watch out, man, if Joe Flacco gets hot. Knows how to win and has been there before. So the Browns are favored on the road there, -2 at Houston. Of course, they got that really good defense. You wonder if inexperience is going to show there with Houston's first time back in the playoffs there for, it seems like forever. The other game on Saturday, it's on Peacock, which I don't even know if I can get and watch, but Kansas City is at home to Miami. KC's a 4.5-point favorite. Miami, like we talked about, lost at home to Buffalo there and now has to hit the road, which they're a much better home team than they are on the road. KC's not quite as potent or not quite putting up the numbers this year as they have been in the past. You wonder if there's some injuries or off the field stuff with Kelsey or some of the receivers dropping passes. It's like this, I just hasn't seemed to have that same KC magic this year. But who knows, man? You got Mahomes, you got these guys. Anything could happen in the playoffs and make another run. I'm not convinced anybody's a lock to make it to any of these. Super Bowl. Just give them the ticket now. They all have to earn it, and there are always upsets in these in the playoffs here. Sunday's gonna be fun, man. We got Pittsburgh at Buffalo. Buffalo, of course, gets the home game. They win like 5 straight there to get into the playoffs and win the AFC East. That's quite a turnaround for them. Made the change there from the offensive coordinator letting Dorsey go and bringing in Joe Brady. And I mean, it turned into wins. They've had all kinds of injuries and stuff. So good for Buffalo, man. They've overcome quite a bit to put themselves in this position. And Pittsburgh too, man. I mean, they look like they were kind of teetering there, and everyone's saying, oh, maybe it's time Tomlin's going to go. He's going to ruin his perfect streak of winning seasons. But they made I think they were forcing it a little bit, but the injuries. They made a change at quarterback, and Rudolph comes in. They win a couple games. They have a couple of. Suddenly, their offense has some big plays. The running game gets going, and there they are, finding themselves in the playoffs where, you give yourself a chance. Anything could happen. Tough task there to go to Buffalo and play the Bills, who seem to be kind of on a mission now and seem to have found their groove, which is kind of cool. They've been a team that has been tops in the NFL for the last couple of years, so they kind of climbed back into that category, it looks like. You got Dallas at home against Green Bay. Packers, make it back to playoffs with Jordan Love. You got Dallas, of course, with been on a hot streak. They lose a couple here and there, but they still end up winning the NFC East. Host a home game there, and I think they get the second round at their stadium as well. They're 7.5-point favorites at home against Green Bay. When they win, man, they don't just barely win. They crush teams. So going to be interesting though. Here come the playoffs. You got the McCarthy versus his old team there, Green Bay, and can Dallas, kind of get over the hump there, because they've had some come up short in the playoffs a couple of times there. Fun one, I think, is going to be the Rams and Detroit. That's going to be Saturday night. That one, of course, you got a couple storylines there with the Goff versus Stafford. Stafford going back to Detroit, where I don't know if he ever played a playoff game there at home. Now he gets to go back to Detroit and playing a playoff game for the other team. So the Lions are favored by 3. Going to be their first home playoff game in forever, man. I think they haven't even made the playoffs since like the early 90s, Barry Sanders years. That's it's been a long wait. Hopefully Detroit's ready to go. So their tight end got a little banged up there, Laporta. So I wonder if he's going to be healthy to go, because a key part of their offense there, man. But Dan Campbell's done a great job there, and on the other side, man, McVay's done a really good job with the Rams. Kind of almost seem to be like a rebuilding type of year, but they have really, I think, exceeded expectations getting to the playoffs there. And they got some great contributions out of Nakua, Kyron Williams, so some new faces that emerged, and they've moved on from some of the bigger name guys that we had been accustomed to them having. Now are moved on. So, man, Rams and Detroit. And then I think also Detroit's GM is a former Ram offensive front office guy. Anyway, and then Monday night, man, Philly at Tampa Bay. I saw A.J. Brown got hurt, so Philly's favored by 3 at Tampa. They have not been looking too good lately, man. I think they're missing a lot of the components they had from last year's team with the offensive and defensive coordinators there. And the play calling just seems a lot different, man. Last year, they were kind of a pound you, run the ball down your throat. Here it is, stop us. And, it's like they've become kind of more of a throw the ball around. And I don't know if that's quite the formula that got them with, the results that they had last year. And I'm sure, Hurts has had the knees kind of been a little gimpy. I don't know, though, man. I think they don't seem to be just punishing teams like they were last year. They got a really talented roster, so they can get it turned back around. Tampa Bay, though, man, good year for them. They're the ones who end up pulling out the NFC South down there. Great year for Baker Mayfield out of nowhere. He kind of, I think, kind of reinvigorated his career there with that little brief stay with the Rams. Kind of got back into there, took a lesser team-friendly deal or cap-friendly deal, won the starting quarterback job, and now he's got the Bucs in the playoffs, man. So, hey, Go Bucks. That's but that's a kind of a weak division. Someone had to win that thing. Saints, I thought, were the team that had the most talent that should have won it, but you gotta go out there and get results on the field, man. So, and then the bye weeks, of course, the Niners and Ravens will be they earn the 1 seed, so they'll be sitting at home waiting for the winners to emerge from this weekend so they can see what the matchups look like next week. So yeah, man, I think it's kind of fun times, man. Oh, then also, side note, Nick Saban is stepping down at Alabama, so there's another college coach vacancy that I think is going to make going to be interesting to keep an eye on who goes there. Does Sark leave? Lanning go from Oregon? Dabo Swinney. You got all these names. D'Amico Ryan's a former Alabama coordinator. Do they promote from within? Crazy, man. It's a lot of coaching changes. I think it's kind of fun though to see, oh geez, this guy's going here, and teams shuffling the decks a little bit. So yeah, but I appreciate you guys tuning in. Wanted to come at you guys with a video here. A little football, man. We got the kind of the winter cold out there and some playoffs and coaching changes happening right now. So yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Appreciate you tuning in. All right, later.